500,000 years ago, in the misty distant past, the Earth was home to no less than 12 different species of people. It was an era when our ancestors lived in a world far removed from the modern world. Each of these species had their own unique characteristics, adapted to different environments and lifestyles. It was an era when humanity had not yet achieved its dominant position on the planet, and the struggle for survival was fierce and unpredictable, like in the wildest parts of the modern world. Imagine an ancient picture. At one end of the planet lived the muscular, cold climate-adapted Neanderthals, who survived by sheer strength and patience. At the other end were the graceful Denisovans, adapted to living in conditions where other species could not survive. And in between are ancient humans whose names are not even preserved in the historical archives, but who played a role in evolutionary history. Like today's wolf species, these ancient humans competed for resources and territories. Their lives were filled with the constant challenges of nature hunting for prey, fighting predators, adapting to changing environments. But unlike our time when mankind formed a society and culture, in those times each species existed in its own world, independent of the others. Over time, some of these species began to displace others, taking their place in Earth's history. Neanderthals, for example, are considered one of the most famous representatives of ancient humans, and their fate remains one of evolution's most fascinating mysteries. And while other species may have disappeared irretrievably, the oblivion of their legacy lives on in our genes, reminding us that evolution is not a static process, but a continuous struggle to survive and adapt to changing environments. Perhaps if these people had had more time or luck, we would be talking about a very different human history today. Imagine an ancient landscape steeped in mysticism and adventure, where every corner of the earth is imbued with the history of our ancient ancestors. Traveling back in time 2 million years to 2 million years ago, we meet a primitive upright man roaming the ancient expanses of Asia. These ancient people, though they had considerable physical abilities, had to fight for their survival in a world where danger awaited at every turn. We move to the depths of the Altai Mountains and meet the Denisov man, fleeing from the teeth of saber-toothed tigers in the shelter of caves. The terrifying roars of predators were heard at night, but even in this harsh environment, ancient people found ways to survive, developing hunting and defense techniques. Moving westward to the Libyan savanna, where Rhodesian man, who lived some 600,000 years ago, hid from lions. In packs, they sought safety and food, learning to use fire and building tools to defend themselves against predators whose formidable silhouettes lurked in the darkness. Now let's move to the cold expanses of Eurasia, where packs of Neanderthals survived on the edge of the ice. Muscular and powerful, they were hunters adapted to the harsh environment. Although they lacked a developed language, their social structures and means of communication allowed them to coordinate hunting and defense against dangers. These different species of ancient humans, each with their own unique traits and ways of survival, filled our planet with their presence, leaving their mark on human history. The fate of the Neanderthals, the enigmatic ancestors of modern man, remains one of the most fascinating mysteries in the history of our species. As modern humans began to gather strength and spread across the planet, Neanderthals faced inevitable competition for resources, territories, and perhaps even genetic materials. Over the years, scientists have tried to solve the mystery of the Neanderthals' disappearance. After all, they were among the most evolved and adapted to the harsh conditions of life on Earth. The Neanderthal brain, much larger in size than the brain of an intelligent human, has always caused wonder and admiration among scientists. And yet, despite their superiority in some aspects, Neanderthals disappeared, while man of reason continued his triumphant march across the planet. One hypothesis explains the disappearance of Neanderthals through competition for resources with man of reason. More modern humans may have been more successful at hunting, gathering, and tool use, giving them an advantage in the struggle for survival. In addition, man the intelligent may have been more adaptable to a changing environment and possessed more complex social structures, giving them an advantage in competition for resources. Another hypothesis relates to genetic exchange between man the intelligent and Neanderthals. Modern genome studies show that modern humans in Eurasia have a certain percentage of Neanderthal genes, which may indicate that at some point there was some level of hybridization between the two species. This genetic exchange may have contributed to the extinction of the Neanderthals in one way or another, perhaps making them less competitive in the struggle for survival. The ancient pages of human history are filled with mysteries, and one of the most fascinating is the one concerning the fate of the Neanderthals. Despite their powerful physical characteristics and high adaptability to the harsh conditions of their environment, Neanderthals seem to have lost the battle for survival against man of reason. The study of bones and fossils indicates that there was a rivalry between these two species of humans for a long time on Earth. Numerous injuries on bones found in Neanderthals may indicate that in the historical past, there were battles and conflicts between them and man of reason. This war of survival, which lasted for an incredible 100,000 years, was a key moment in the evolution of our species. Neanderthals and intelligent man first met about 1 million years ago in Africa. However, about 500,000 years ago, Neanderthals began migrating northward. Leaving the continent of Africa, they traversed the expanse of the Middle East and penetrated into future Russia and Europe, reaching the boundaries of the eternal ice in the north. For Neanderthals, these territories presented a difficult challenge, but it was here that they demonstrated their outstanding endurance and adaptability. They developed sophisticated hunting strategies, built tools, and trained themselves to survive in harsh climates. However, there came a time when the fate of the Neanderthals was reversed. With the arrival of intelligent man in the same territories, fierce competition for resources began. The struggle for survival took a new, even more brutal form. And unfortunately, Neanderthals found themselves in a losing position. Perhaps factors such as more complex social structures, advanced communication skills, and more effective hunting strategies helped intelligent humans emerge victorious in this ancient war of survival. Neanderthals, despite their outstanding abilities, proved incapable of facing this new enemy. Deep in ancient times, when the world was saturated with wildlife and fear of the unknown, Neanderthals fought for their survival in the cold expanse of the planet. They became perfect hunters, learning the skill of hunting prey, which in the cold conditions became a necessity for survival. Meat became their key food source, becoming a symbol of the struggle for life in the harsh conditions of the cold part of the planet. Like any predators, Neanderthals defended their territory and prey from competitors. They mastered tools made of stones and possessed physical strength that allowed them to successfully cope with their rivals. But the most dangerous enemy for them was the man of reason, who in turn also began their journey northward, leaving the native expanses of Africa. As soon as the man of reason multiplied and began their migratory path to the north, the great war between the different species of mankind began. Neanderthals, feeling threatened by man of reason, stood up to defend their land and resources. Rivalry over territory and access to food escalated into a deadly struggle for survival. Neanderthals and man of reason waged their war for hundreds of thousands of years, alternating between battles, hunting, and defense. Bloody skirmishes filled with fear and excitement have left a mark on the history of human evolution. Both species have shown their remarkable ability to survive and adapt to the harsh environment. The picture of ancient clashes and struggles for survival depicted on the bones and fossils unearthed by archaeologists unfolds before us. It was during this period, the Age of Antiquity, when the world is saturated with wildlife and fear of the unknown, that the great battles between Neanderthals and man, the intelligent, took place, leaving traces on the bones from the cells of both species. Archaeological findings show that the two species were involved in fierce battles. The traces of mutilation and weapon injuries found on the bones of Neanderthals and man of reason suggest that clashes were inevitable. Blunt force injuries from blunt objects such as stones and clubs are particularly common, especially in young males who were killed or injured during battles. Neanderthal fossils often show evidence of such blows, indicating that they were involved in violent battles over territory and resources. On the other hand, finds of man of reason, such as those in the Alps and the United States, show evidence of the use of knives and spears in battles. In Africa, archaeologists have discovered a tribe of 27 people who died 13,000 years ago, indicating large-scale battles and clashes between these ancient communities. The struggle for territory and resources could not have been quick and painless. Clashes were violent, But the small numbers of the pack of primitive humans and their limited resources made each battle bloody. Neanderthals were known for their strength and endurance, and each was an opponent worth a dozen intelligent humans. These battles were like the clash of great armies, where each warrior was willing to sacrifice his life for his pack and his land. The era of clashes between Neanderthals and man of reason resembled a saga of survival, where each side fought for its place, under the sun, with fierce tenacity and determination. The rivalry between these two species of mankind, the battle for survival, stretched for many millennia, leaving traces in the vastness of antiquity. Neanderthals were remarkable hunters and warriors, innate killers with skills honed by centuries of millennia of hunting and survival. They were muscular, hardy, with superior eyesight, adapted to the harsh conditions of the Ice Age. Their strength and endurance made them dangerous opponents even for more advanced man of reason. But Neanderthals faced an opponent who was equally resilient and tenacious in the struggle for survival. Humans with more advanced social structures and technological advantages entered a battle where every moment was precious. Over the course of 100,000 years, wars between Neanderthals and man of reason were followed by periods of pauses and stalemates as the conflicts entered a stage of attrition. Some researchers claim that man of reason was able to completely exterminate the Neanderthals only after 75,000 years, overcoming resistance and capturing enemy territories. One possible reason for the victories of man of reason over the Neanderthals could be the improvement of throwing weapons. The use of bows, spears, and allowed to increase their distance in battle, avoiding direct collision with the muscular but slow Neanderthals. Distance avoidance tactics and strategies served intelligent man in their struggle for survival. The era of ancient battles and the struggle for survival in the vastness of planet Earth remains one of the most enigmatic chapters in human history. Among the many hypotheses and versions, one that stands out is the one that says that the man of reason may have simply been larger in number, and this gave them an advantage in the struggle for survival. The migration of man of. The migration. Reason during the thaw of the Ice Age may have spared them the problems of limited resources and food, which was one of the causes of conflict and the decline of other human species. While man of reason expanded their territories and found new sources of food, other species were forced to adapt to harsh conditions or face extinction. In light of new data and research, it is clear that Neanderthals were far from being as primitive as previously thought. They had a complex social structure, could bury their dead, and even painted pictures on cave walls. Such facts discard the old notions of them as simple and stupid creatures. However, despite all this, the truth about the harsh times in human history remains that 12 species of humans once lived on Earth, and only one of them survived. Humans of reason, pursuing their goals and striving for dominance, showed no pity for their rivals. Raid after raid, valley after valley, man of reason grinded down other members of the human race. The Neanderthals, the strongest and most powerful of the species, had disappeared some 24 years ago, becoming the last to fall victim in this ancient war. In his quest for power and supremacy, intelligent man wiped out the other species, leaving only traces of their existence in stone remains and archaeological evidence. Today we are sending ships into space in search of other life on distant stars, building telescopes, looking for answers to questions about the origin of the universe, but at the same time we must remember that once we ourselves destroyed other forms of life on our home planet, remembering the lessons of the past to avoid repeating mistakes in the future. Thank you for watching this episode to the end. Give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And if you haven't already, and also go to the bell to not miss new and interesting videos from our channel.